Tonight on Rhode Island PBS Weekly.
Paul Amaral is a master builder. Working with artists like Keith Haring and Roy Lichtenstein, Amaral helped bring their artistic vision to stunning reality.
Is there any one that you wanted to keep?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, but I don't think I can tell you which one. I might get sued.
Our next story is about a local artisan whose work is viewed by millions of people around the globe. When you think of public art and the master artists who created them, artists like Klaus Oldenburg and Robert Indiana, you probably never think of the people who helped those famous sculptors turn their vision into a reality. Paul Amaral is one of those people, a builder who transforms the artist's ideas into physical form. Since opening his studio 23 years ago, he has built nearly 1,000 pieces that adorn public spaces here in New England and around the world. But as Bill Bartholomew found when he visited Amaral, his journey to becoming a much sought-after art fabricator took a long and often uncertain path.
I'm not an artist. I don't claim to be at all. I'm an artisan. I have a service to offer.
Well, maybe not an artist, but Paul Amaral is without question a master builder of art, big art. On a typical day at his shop in East Providence, Amaral and his team can be found welding and twisting large pieces of metal and aluminum, turning them into iconic pieces of contemporary art. Through a complex feat of engineering, Amaral has helped some of the world's most famous artists realize their vision. So, while he may not be an artist in the classic sense, he has developed a detail-oriented creative process seemingly a million miles from where he began.
So you're a native Southern New Englander and grew up on a farm.
Growing up on the farm, yeah, that was a different world. You know, it's based on work and family. It was everybody in a field picking strawberries together, but I hated farming. it was the worst.
Determined not to be a farmer, but in need of a job, Amaral began working with some of the world's most in-demand boat builders.
I never participated in America's Cup project, but the man that I worked for had a tremendous history of working for some of the very biggest names in America's Cup world and building their winning boats. So it rubbed off on me more than anything.
Long after the America's Cup was lost to Australia in 1983, Amaral continued to build boats, developing the skills that would lead directly to his next career. But he says that transition happened quite by accident.
We had a knock on the door one day. This old fellow showed up with a wooden maquette under his arm.
And what's a maquette?
That's what we asked. What's a maquette?
A maquette is a small model that the artist Klaus Oldenburg wanted built into a much larger work of art.
We looked at the model, the maquette, and thought to ourselves, why would anybody want a 50-foot spoon with a cherry at the tip? And thought it was the silliest thing that anybody would want to build. We had no idea at the time until people started sending us newspapers with pictures of the spoon and the cherry on the front page. And we realized then, wow, this is a big deal.
Fair to say you went from boat building to art building, if you will.
And we went from the top, the pinnacle of boat building, to the pinnacle of art building.
Amaral's work on Spoon Bridge and Cherry won high praise from Oldenburg. Today, the piece adorns the Minneapolis sculpture garden of the Walker Art Center. Since its installation in 1988, it has attracted nearly 4 million visitors. It would be another decade before Amaral began to work full-time as an art fabricator, and he found that his talent as a builder of art was directly connected to his years spent as a boat builder.
I use the same approach in the art world. We use marine aluminum. We use marine welding techniques. We use marine paint. And what's been recognized is that the workmanship has always been top of the heap.
And that workmanship brought some of the most celebrated artists to his doorstep, including representatives of the late pop artist Keith Haring.
And they said, we saw your work and we want it. So I started working with the Haring Foundation a year after I opened. The count is nearly 400 pieces, I think, of Keith Haring sculpture that we built in all those years.
No single artist, however, has propelled Amaral's work more than the iconic Roy Lichtenstein. When we visited Amaral's shop last February, he told us about his first project with Lichtenstein.
We had the opportunity to build one set of a brushstroke group, actually 6 individual sculptures that were all in the same grouping. And he came out to examine them, spent 45 minutes walking up and down between all the pieces and looking at them very closely. Got as far away from us as he could and turned around and gave us a big smile.
What a moment.
Yeah, we were all holding our breath until then. So that was a thrill. What I learned later is that he went back to the studio and told his studio people, that's what I've been looking for years.
And it was Amaral's skill working with aluminum that caught Roy Lichtenstein's attention.
Roy saw that he never got was flat surfaces. Even the best aluminum welder in the world, it's going to warp as you weld it. What we do is use a special putty that's designed for aluminum to fill in those warps, and then we sand them back flat.
Aluminum became a popular material through military research, but had rarely been used in the art world. Amaral has helped change that.
I can't do bronze sculptures any better than the next guy. I can't do steel sculptures any better than the next guy. Or when it comes to aluminum, I think our results are out there 20 and 30 years after the fact, and there's a noticeable difference.
Amaral's shop is filled with pieces from the whimsical to the sublime. Artists from around New England and around the world bring their pieces to him for repair or restoration on a regular basis.
These pieces that you're designing by nature are probably going to outlive both of us. That's as heavy as it gets.
When I was a kid, there was a fellow that lived across the street from me. And I remember being 8 years old and him telling me that his grandfather worked on the Statue of Liberty. And I thought, gee, that's pretty remarkable to have a legacy that you can pass to your grandchildren. That I would want my grandchildren to be somewhere at some future date. They recognize that my grandfather worked on that.
Our thanks to Bill Bartholomew for that report.